Hey, what's up, everyone? Morey Croson here, and today we're going to be breaking down Michael Penix throwing motion. We're going to start the video right now. This is the newest edition of the Performance Lab.
Reach your individual goals.
You don't want to just talk about straight line speed. We also want to talk about your ability to be quick. We break down your video.
Let's make you into the quarterback I know you can become.
All right, guys, as always, thanks for watching these videos. If you like the information, click that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We're always doing videos just like this to help you improve as a quarterback. We have a ton of different breakdowns that we've done over the years of just really the best quarterbacks, whether they're in college, the NFL. There's a lot of guys that we've done multiple times, you know, CJ Stroud, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, obviously Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. All those guys are on the channel. Today, we're going to be breaking down Michael Penix, who is really probably the best quarterback right now in terms of the Heisman, highest on the Heisman list. I know people are saying JJ McCarthy as well, but Michael Penix has really been doing a great job for Washington. I don't know if his throwing is going to transfer over to the NFL very well. I do love the fact that he's playing at such a high level while not having great traditional, quote unquote, traditional throwing mechanics. And we'll go ahead and get right into that so we can see he's sitting back. And like one thing that we typically don't see is that front arm really dropping down a ton. And you can see how as he's getting set up, he's really allowing that front arm to go there. And also he's really taking a long stride in that position and still ends up being able to get the ball there, right? So at the end of the day, as much as, you know, you're watching a video on throwing mechanics and a guy that really has done a lot of stuff that is very biomechanical focused, I do really believe that at the end of the day, you have to understand that the better you can connect to your body and understand how to utilize the body, the better off you're going to be as a quarterback. So that's really when I'm working with people, I'm not trying to get you to throw like Michael Penix or Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. When making these videos, I'm trying to inform you on how there's a million different ways to throw the football, right? We haven't ever seen two quarterbacks throw and say, hey, look, this guy throws exactly the same as this guy, right? You're never going to get that. And so as a quarterback, when you're watching these videos, I want you to really understand that it's not about throwing exactly like this person. You should be getting ideas and concepts down of how you can improve your throw and what you need to do in order to make that happen, right? And so what he does a good job of, and we can see he's pretty tall as he's getting set up, and he loads into that back leg very well. He gets plenty of distance within his step, right? So he's really not allowing himself to short stride it, right? I know a lot of people talk about how you should be really short with the stride. You could see with him, he is definitely not in that camp, right? He's definitely taking a longer stride, and he also gets his foot down very quickly. All those things are very important. Load the back leg, take a long stride, and get that front foot down fast, so then we have the ability to shift the weight. The things that he do that are uncommon, uncommon is that front shoulder opens up really fast, right? He ends up leaning over the side a good amount as he's getting ready of the football. And he really doesn't do a great job of extending in the elbow, right? He throws a lot with the pec. He throws a lot with the shoulder. Again, I think that there's a ton of success he's already having. I mean, when you watch this video, it's just nice throw after nice throw. And as a lefty, he obviously brings a lot of different potential issues to a defense because you're used to going against somebody that's righty. So it's a little bit different when you're going against a quarterback that's lefty. This is the other, you know, there's him and Dylan Gabriel, both lefties that are having a lot of success in college football right now. And you could see, I mean, he also does a really good job with driving that elbow. I love that elbow drive and the ability to get a lot of rotation as he's going through the throw, right? So again, there's a lot of things he's not doing that are super conventional within the throw, okay? But there's also something that he's doing that we see time and time again are helping quarterbacks be successful, okay? So we see this as well. I mean, this isn't a very far throw. He's just trying to get the ball out of his hands quickly, but I couldn't really find much of a back angle anyway. But we could see as he's loading, he just gets that arm back, hand back, and then just gets the elbow through. So he's really quick with the wrist, okay? And that's another thing that I know we talk a lot about is being able to understand how to use that wrist to be able to really maximize the throw. And I think he does a good job of being able to get that wrist around. He doesn't waste much time bringing the ball back as he's loading. He just basically does like the Dan Marino, quote unquote, Dan Marino type throw, right? Because he just kind of lifts that ball straight up and then gets the ball right out of his hands. He's not trying to spend a lot of time in that load. He basically just lifts the ball straight up in the air, right? And then drives that elbow through. And he gets a lot of elbow action because of how much rotation he ends up generating with that upper body by really allowing that front arm and front shoulder to open up a good amount. He doesn't have a ton of hip and shoulder disassociation. And this is why, it's tough to say he's going to have a ton of success at the next level, because there are a good amount of throws that are a little underthrown. There are a good amount of throws where the receivers make a really good play. They're a little bit inaccurate, things like that. But at the end of the day, he does a really good job of being decisive. Like there's, like this one's a little bit high, right? I mean, he puts a lot on this throw. That one's a little bit high, but he gets the ball out of his hands quickly, right? I mean, he does two things that you can't, really knock, right? And one of them is he'll stand in the face of pressure, right? You could be blitzing and a guy will go on block. He will stand in the face of pressure and deliver the throw. Okay, again, this was a good adjustment by the receiver, but that was still thrown on time, put the ball in a good place. This was a really good job of looking off the safety, right? He gets the ball, perfect snap there, kind of looking off to the side, faking over to the side here, and comes back and throws just an absolute dot of a skinny post here for a touchdown, right? Has that man coverage. As soon as he saw what he wanted within the defense, he knew exactly where he was going to go, puts the ball exactly where it needs to be in order to score a touchdown. And he does a really good job of being able to put his receivers in positions where they could score, right? Like this one is a little bit underthrown. Okay, this would be an example of why he may struggle, right? Because in the NFL, you're not going to be able to create this big of mismatches, right? Where you're going to have guys as wide open, but he still did a good job of being able to put it out there. And, again, while it's underthrown, it wasn't too much underthrown and still ended up being a big play. So, it's not a surprise that he's having as much success as he's having. And, it's going to be a bit of a question mark on how well he'll transfer over to the NFL. But, really for a lot of people, it's just being able to get from like the middle school, high school level into college, right? There's a lot of people that I work with within the programs and that send over videos, things like that are just looking to get into the big game, right? Looking to be able to get an opportunity to play on Saturdays. And in that regard, Michael Penix is doing a lot of things that are unconventional, we could say, in that he's not following a lot of the traditional things. Even I, the other day, put up a video of like my kind of progression from college in comparison to now. And people are talking about, oh, yeah, look at your shoulder height and your head and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, man, there's so many quarterbacks that are playing at a very, very high level that on Sundays and on Saturdays that don't have just this perfect in a box way of throwing the ball. And I think that is something to really consider when you're practicing and understanding what it is you need to do in order to get yourself to be potentially recruited or drafted, right? You have to be able to understand that in order for you to be able to get to these high levels and get your body to be able to operate at a high level, right? You have to understand how to be able to throw the ball with a lot behind it and have accuracy and really make it so as you're throwing, you're using your hips, you're using your core, you're using the rotation within the spine, you're using your feet, your balance, you're using your wrists, you're using the elbows, the triceps, the lats. You want to be able to best utilize your body, not only when you're throwing it 15 to 25 yards, but also when you're throwing it deeper, right? 40 yards, 45 yards. And I think a lot of times people get caught up with that as well, as like, if you try to really have a great 20-yard throw, then there's a lot of people that can throw the ball great 20 yards. It's really about how well can you throw the ball 45 yards plus if you want to be able to play on Saturdays or play the game on Sundays. So really being able to work on that. And then also how well can you throw the comeback or out from one hash mark to the other hash mark. If you could do those things well, then you have a chance to get recruited. If you can't do those things well, then I wouldn't be working too much on how well you can escape the pocket or some of the other just Instagram drills that are out there, right? Or TikTok drills that are out there. At the end of the day, there's two main things you have to be able to do in order to go from playing Friday nights to playing Saturday nights, or even having the opportunity to play on Friday nights. And one of those is you got to be able to throw it from the hash mark, the high school hash mark, to the opposite sidelines, probably about 25 yards downfield, right? That probably ends up being about a 35, 40-yard throw. The more you can put that on the line, the better. And then you got to be able to throw it over 45 yards. And there's no doubt about that. If you want to get recruited by top schools, you got to be able to throw the ball over 55 yards. If you can't do those things, then you're just not going to get recruited. And because there's just so many people that can do it, right? And with that, you have to have the size, you have to have the strength in order to make that happen, right? So if you're 5'9", or even 6 foot, but you're 140 pounds, then you have a long way to go, right? You're not going to be able to throw the ball at being 6 foot 140. Okay, so I would say what's going to be more important for you, as much as the mechanics are a thing and accuracy is a thing, and yeah, being a leader is important to be a great quarterback. All those things are important, but what is it that your goal is? Is your goal to be a high school quarterback, or is your goal to be playing on Saturdays or playing on Sundays? If that's the goal, then the commitment has to be different and the outlook has to be different in order for you to really take your game to a different level. Right. And that's really what you want to be able to do. And you want to be able to do that as fast as you can, because in reality, there's a lot of people that are 15 years old, right, sophomores in high school, that are getting recruited by colleges because they already have the size, already have the strength. So if you're not throwing the ball 55 yards and you're 15, then time is running out, right? You don't have plenty of time, and you can get convinced that you are a great game manager or whatever. But at the end of the day, even those great quote unquote game managers, right? Brock Purdy can throw the ball over 55 yards. Okay, you guys, everybody can hate on him all they want, but at the end of the day, Iowa State, he was winning games for the Niners, and there's a ton of guys. Joshua Dobbs, right? He could throw the ball over 55 yards. All these guys can throw the ball far and just do a great job being able to manage the game from there. Okay, so you have to have the arm strength first. The ability to manage and lead comes second a lot of times when it comes to playing quarterback, and you got to be able to build that arm strength, so then you have the opportunity to really put yourself in a position where now you can learn what it takes to be great with having all the tools available for you to be able to be great, right? If you're throwing the ball under 55 yards and managing the game well, that's good, but you have to be able to understand the more distance you can put on the ball, the more that puts pressure on the quarterback to be successful. You need to be the person that everybody's looking to be able to win games, right? You need to be a deciding factor between if your team wins or if your team loses. If that doesn't stand out on film, then teams are not going to be interested, right? They want the quarterback that is like, wow, that guy has made that team go from what would be a 2 or 3 win team to a 7 or 8 win team. If you could have that type of an influence, now the top schools are going to be interested in you, right? They don't need somebody that can win 3 games or 4 games at high school level. That's just, regardless of who's around you, you should be good enough as a quarterback to be able to lift up the entire team. If that's not the case, then I would say that you need to be able to take on more of a leadership role, period. Okay, and make it so your team can start being better. We'll start making so you start winning games. Take some accountability, take some ownership of the team and the success of the team, and then you'll start to be able to really see a lot of the benefits that come from that. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you like this information. If you do, click that thumbs up down below, subscribe to the channel. If this resonated with anybody, definitely, obviously subscribe and like the video, but also share it if there's a part of it that ends up resonating and makes it so you can kind of connect to it a little bit more. Sorry, I'm a little bit stuffy. I've been under the weather for the past few days, so still overcoming that. But yeah, and then there's a lot of things that we do for quarterbacks. You can check that in the description down below. If you have any questions about that, I would be happy to answer those. You can leave those in the comments. You can reach out to me. I have my email. I have all my contact information in the description down below. Again, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.